Welcome. Thank you for being here. We are here to hear the story of Nathan Phillips. We need a new story on Earth at this time. The story of domination, colonization, violence, victimization, that's the old story. All of us are searching for a new story. The two brothers that came out to be with us, Nathan Phillips and Chase Iron Eyes, are here because each of them is walking and living a new story that we all need to hear. We're all here because the spin of the mass media makes it difficult to know what really happened 3 weeks ago on the Lincoln Monument. So we're here to listen respectfully and to learn. The lie is that we're all separated. There is a time now. What we want to have come out of this meeting is that all of us will stand with Nathan. That's very important. Unity is very important when any one of us who has actually been a peacemaker and has diffused an incredibly potentially violent situation is cast as the aggressor. We cannot let that stand. Right? Okay. So that's why we're here. The other thing I want to say is the learning that needs to happen from all the Indigenous brothers and sisters has to do with the fact that human rights are impossible if we don't respect our mother, if we do not have rights of nature. If we are a truly human society trying to be born, we haven't yet reached the birth canal. What do we do without a placenta? The placenta is this respect that has been lost, this extractive industry that just violates our plant brothers and sisters, our animal brothers and sisters, the rock people, as if it's just to be processed. Yes. And what that leads to is us being processed. Right. Yes. So these are two brothers that have exhibited the courage, which is what comes after your prayer, the next step forward. Okay. So tonight we're going to hear from a number of community leaders here. And we want to request that nobody live stream or film this. We are filming it, so please, before you leave, let us know if we don't have your email. And we all want you to sign the I Stand with Nathan online when you leave or out at the lobby here. First, we're going to start. I want to introduce Anne Marie and Canyon Sayers from Ohlone Indian Canyon Nation.
Welcome to Ohlone territory. My daughter and I lived in a place called Indian Canyon. That is, perhaps an hour away from here. And there's so much water coming down, it's absolutely beautiful. 7 waterfalls. I love it. What I would like to do is honor all 4 directions, asking for unity for all of us collectively, so we can make things go forward in a good way. If we can stand up and face east. Pita Kanama Sikapatian, Hetel Kanoso, Soto Kanoso, no so. Now if we can face south. Pita Kanama Sikapatian, Hetel Kanoso, Soto Kanoso, no so. Now west. Pita Kanama Sikapatian, Hetel Kanoso, Soto Kanoso. And now north. Pita Kanama Sikapatian, Hetel Kanoso, Soto Kanoso, no so. Unity as we go forward in a good way. I am so honored to be here, to welcome everyone here. I thank you. I would like my daughter to sing the grandmother song.
Mishmin Tuhis, Kanraka Canyon, Coyote Woman, Sarah's Roots. I want to ask you to say a word with me. Can you say Aswaswas? Can you say Aloni? Aloni. You're acknowledging the indigenous peoples of whose land we are on. Wherever you go, please acknowledge the indigenous nations who have always been on these lands, the stewards of these lands for thousands and thousands of years. My mother and my grandmother come from a matrilineal society, and they have always taught me that when song, ceremony, and dancing stops, so does the earth. I too believe that, and I would like to offer a grandmother's song to honor our grandmothers, their grandmothers, and an all Mother Earth, for without them and without her, we would not be here. We share this time and space together for a reason, so it's with that humility, that gratitude, that present-mindedness, and coming together in unity, respecting our diverse communities, our diverse nations, but recognizing that we have a responsibility to the next 7 generations. We come together in a good way. Oh, can I get you all to say oh in 3, 2, 1, oh! All right, at the end of the song, we're going to send this out in a good way. All right, thank you. Moi moi o kawana, moi moi o ka, moi moi no, moi moi o ko, moi moi o ne yo konale, moi moi hey yo konale, moi moi o kawana, moi moi o ko, moi moi no, moi moi o ko, moi moi o ne yo konale, moi moi hey yo konale, moi moi o kawana, moi moi o ko, moi moi no, moi moi o ko, moi moi o ne yo konale, moi moi hey yo konale. No son and Welcome to Ohlone territory, and thank you for honoring the native peoples of these lands.
Thank you, Anne Marie and Canyon. I'd like to introduce Wounded Knee and Karina Fairbanks and offer prayer.
First of all, I would like to thank the Creator.
Put that mic up.
First of all, I would like to thank the Creator for giving us a good day here on Mother Earth. A lot of us don't give thanks to the Creator that gives us things to survive here on Mother Earth as Earth people. So I want to give thanks to all the grandfathers and to all the grandmothers and to all our ancestors, your ancestors, that were here on Mother Earth. We are Earth people. We all have the same blood, red. We all have the same feelings. And the Creator knows that. What I was doing while she was singing the song, I was asking the Creator and Grandma and Grandpa to watch over us as we survive here on Mother Earth. We have to wake up protect Mother Earth as Earth people. I was thanking the Creator for giving us life. I want to thank the women in the audience. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't be here today. So I'd like to thank and greetings the grandfather, the grandmother, and to the Creator who gives us life here on Mother Earth. I want to thank the Creator for watching over these warriors. Thank you, grandfathers and grandmothers, to give us the strength, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the courage. I want to thank you, Nathan Phillips, for standing up and singing that song. And the Creator heard you when you were singing. The grandmas and the grandpas and all your ancestors that went before us have heard your song and the beat of your heart. I want to thank you for coming today and helping us in the struggle of indigenous people. Grandma, from the Ohlone tribe, I've been knowing you for many, many years, and you fought a great battle to protect your land. And I honor you for doing that. Your grandmothers and grandfathers and ancestors and the Creator has always watched out for you and your daughter. Thank you for that beautiful song. It was very beautiful, and the grandmothers and the grandfathers and the Creator heard that song. Thank you for being here tonight. I hope your journey on this Mother Earth will lead you to good paths down the road. Thank you for everything that you do for the women on this earth. This is what we need. Without the women, we wouldn't be here. Thank you, grandfathers and grandmothers, for giving us life. You gave us life here on Mother Earth to protect us and protect what we have left. Protect the water. Water is life. Water is sacred. Water is medicine. Thank you. You might be a stranger, but that's all right. I know people like you have good hearts and good spirits. You know, I had traveled many, many places, and I met many, many people across this nation. Good people with good hearts and good spirit. But I must tell you a story so you understand about indigenous people of this country. My mother was born on the California Indian Reservation in Tuolumne, California. She was taken when she was 5 years old from her mother, taken to a boarding school, not 10 miles, not 15 miles, but 500 miles to a place called Stewart, Nevada. They told my mother not to speak her language. They cut her hair, and they did bad things to my mother and also to other Native American children. The pain is still there. Just think about if your mother was taken away from you or your baby. But that's why I give thanks to the Creator every day. And He gives me that strength. But it wasn't for the women. You are very powerful because you give us life here on Mother Earth. I want to introduce my friend, Karina Fairbanks, a very powerful woman that speaks for the women and the little kids and the future generation. So my question to you, what are you going to do when they come for you in the morning?
Good evening. I wanted to be thankful to be on Ohlone territory with my relatives here, and I have deep respect for everyone in this panel. I I'm not, I don't know how powerful he thinks I am, but I really appreciate the sentiment, Wounded. I am a member of the American Indian Movement, and I work with the AIM of Ohio chapter, closely connected to the AIM Indiana Kentucky chapter. I live in Dayton, Ohio. We're 45 minutes to an hour away from Covington, and we worked on a rally there and against the dioceses and against that Catholic high school. And so it was through, when we heard this was happening, I mean, Wounded and The Longest Walk had already contacted me to be here for The Longest Walk, and I was already planning to do that. And then I came across this and I had to come. And so we all got together and we wanted to come and pay our respects to this elder because what happened to Nathan is connected to all of our issues. The whitewashing and gaslighting that happened when the PR firm was hired changed the narrative, but we all knew it was going to be changed. This was no big surprise, and I don't want to go into that, but I'm just, not yet. And so I'm just saying that I was able to come here and I was honored to be able to give some eagle feathers to be put on the women's staff and the Longest Walk staff, and from the same relative, this feather that I would like to give our elder Nathan is from the same spirit, and so that's all I have to say. There's another gift for you that I'll give you later, but I'm deeply honored to meet you, and I want to thank you and your family, because our family often takes the brunt and the stress of what we do. And they're the first ones that are targeted when we put ourselves out there. If they can't get to you, we know they get to your family and the stress. So I want to offer prayer. I'm not a spiritual person. I can't speak for. I can just pray when our elder Anne-Marie Sayers, when she prays, my prayer joins her because I have nothing else to give. I just want to thank you and your family and everyone on this panel and this gentleman right here for putting this together, because he represents our people very well. And as a Oglala Lakota woman, I'm deeply honored that we have people here from our nation that work with us, because women are powerful. We're only powerful together. But when we have the unity of our men that can role model to our younger generations, that highlight the work of our grandmothers and grandfathers, that is the only way we move forward. And we only move forward if we are all connected. And what Nathan Phillips did connects all of our issues, from the doctrine of discovery, to manifest destiny, to the demons in your wallet, to the Andrew Jacksons, to the Trump administration. And I better stop because I can keep going on. I wanted to give this as a prayer, and it's not political. Those were prayers. And I would not have been able to get on that plane and make that had those relatives not been with me. And that's another story I'll tell you, but they didn't want to allow those feathers on the plane. They did not. They wanted to put it through the x-ray machine, and I said, no, you will not desecrate these feathers. Well, then you need to check them in. No, they need to be on my lap. And I almost missed my flight, and I almost had a heart attack, but then I had to stop. I had to stop and go, okay, I have these feathers, everything's gonna be okay. And so they brought me here, and they wanted to be with you. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for those prayers. Wounded Knee. And Karina. Our next speaker is Lynette Mike, who is the president of the Santa Cruz Indian Treaty Council.
Good evening. I'm humbled and honored to be here this evening with you and to represent Santa Cruz Indian Council. We're a local organization that's been here in Santa Cruz since 1979. My grandmother was a founding board member. And I'm just deeply honored to be here. I'm here, I came tonight, was asked to come and speak. And I prayed before I came, and I'm just honored, and I'm here to educate myself. Our mission is to promote culture and wellness within families and 7th generation specifically. We're kind of in a resurgent here in the community. I'm just passionate about unity, about teaching our young ones so that we don't have incidents like we saw that Nathan, where you were disrespected. And again, our people have struggled and been oppressed for a long time. And it's important for us to teach our children, all people, the tolerance, get rid of the racism, unity. That is what we are about. We're all here together. We're all in the same boat. We're in a really big time of turmoil within this nation. But you know what? I'm not standing for it. And I'm not teaching my children, our children, or anyone, the hate that is running through the veins of this country and what it was established on. It's important for me to stand up and say, no, that's not what this country was founded on or what it's about. This is not what we are about. And so it's important, again, I struggle, and humbled because I wasn't sure what I was going to say, but I give it to the Creator every day, and He's given me an opportunity to share, and represent this community here. And again, I just want to show our support, however we can support you gentlemen, and to thank Nathan again for standing in that dignity, because I've only seen the initial clip of what happened, and to be able to stand there and to see how strong and see your dignity and your honor, and that's what we want our children to see. We don't want to see retaliation or coming right back. And in that face of adversity, we've been standing for years, and we will continue to empower and strengthen our children, our generations, our people. And so I'm here tonight to say that Santa Cruz Indian Council will support however we can, Nathan, and continue to support our people and teach our children from this oppression that continues for our people. So I really am honored to be here and with all these wonderful local ladies and community here. So thank you very much for having me. And we would like to, as an organization, Santa Cruz Indian Council would like to host a talking circle related around tonight, this evening, and also, the events and just any feedback for community. And so if you look at Facebook, we have Santa Cruz Indian Council Facebook, and we'll be posting on there when that will follow up for the community to come and to share and have a little bit more of an intimate conversation. So thank you so much for having me. Good evening.
Thank you, Lynette. Amelia Leon and Kristen Peterson are with the Community Action League here in town. The Community Action Board, I'm sorry. And they are both co-chairs of the Board of Directors. It's an amazing community organization. Welcome.
Is it okay if we stand here on this? Okay. Buenas noches. Mi nombre es Emelia Jiménez León. I am the daughter of Concepción Garcia Jiménez and Francisco Avila León, who were both born and raised in Guanajuato, Mexico. I was born in Watsonville and raised in Santa Cruz County. Both my parents have worked on this land cultivating the food we eat. My dad is an activist who organized with Cesar Chavez to bring a union into his workplace, a mushroom farm up the coast. I thank my parents for teaching me to be proud of who I am, of my roots, and who I represent. I also thank them for being honest with me and warning me that society may sometimes fail to see my value, not because society is right, but because it was built on racist foundations. That's why I sit on the board of CAB, an agency committed to eliminating poverty by addressing racial equity.
My name is Kristen Peterson, and I am part of 5 generations of Santa Cruz County residents. I was raised with the values of service, community, humility, and respect and dignity for all people. I carry these values with me in my work with CAB, and also as the Vice Mayor of the City of Capitola. It is the mission of CAB to partner with the community to eliminate poverty and create social change through advocacy and essential services. CAB stands with Nathan Phillips and his quest for peace with justice.
We would like to ask for permission to read part of our immigration, racial equity, and human rights policy statement. It starts by stating, immigration has always been a part of the human experience and human right. CAB recognizes that we are operating on Indigenous land. We honor the people who came before us and thank them for the care they gave the land and each other. All those who are not Indigenous are immigrants to the United States, either through voluntary migration or forced diaspora. It is important to recognize the racist foundations on which the political, legal, and economic institutions of the United States are built. This country was built through centuries of enslavement of Africans and the intentional genocide of the Indigenous people. Unfortunately, our present federal administration has chosen to craft its immigration policies as a continuation of the worst parts of this country's history.
We face a historical opportunity and moral responsibility to address the continued existence and long-term effects of racial inequity and systemic racism in ourselves, our organizations, our institutions, and our communities. It is our goal to support immigrant and Indigenous communities so that individuals and families feel welcome, have rights, have access to resources, and can contribute and thrive in our community.
On behalf of the board and the staff of CAB, we want to thank you for inviting us to share who we are and what CAB stands for. Gracias.
Thank you, Lilia and Kristen. Now we are here in Santa Cruz, and we have former mayor and present city councilman, Cruz, who has a proclamation to us.
Thank you, Tatanka. I want to welcome our distinguished guests into our Santa Cruz living room, the Civic Auditorium. This is our living room. This is our Civic Center. I want to thank Tatanka, and I want to also thank Daniel from Lakota People's Law Project for helping organize all of this. Give him a big hand. This is an event that the city can recognize what Nathan and Chase are bringing to us tonight, and peace with justice, and that to me is the theme, for me, anyway, that's the theme for the night. I wonder if I could get Nathan and Chase to stand up for a moment. I have a proclamation from the mayor and city council of Santa Cruz, and you know, Chase talked about reclaiming the narrative just a little while ago. He was talking to a group of us, and I really think that we, as a city, we can shape our history. There's things that have happened in this city and this country that wouldn't have happened without folks like Nathan and Chase, and bring it right home to the city of Santa Cruz. And we collectively can shape the future of this city. Please bear with me. I'm going to trying to shape our city's narrative by incorporating the narrative of Chase and Nathan, and hopefully something emerges out of that. This is a mayor's proclamation. Whereas, in recent weeks, the United States has been in an uproar over the incident that occurred at the Lincoln Memorial. And whereas Nathan Phillips, in the shadow of the statue of Abraham Lincoln, only 3 days prior to Martin Luther King Day, and just a few feet from where Martin Luther King delivered his I Have a Dream speech, he was approached by the Covington students and continued drumming and singing. And whereas Chase Iron Eyes, an attorney for the Lakota Peoples Project, and with offices in Santa Cruz, and a prominent water protector at Standing Rock, was present with Nathan Phillips during this incident in Washington, D.C. and served as a spokesperson for the Indigenous Peoples March to promote peace with justice. And whereas America's history and current racial dynamics profoundly amplify the incident that occurred at the Lincoln Memorial on January 18th, 2019, which drew the national attention. And whereas research suggests that African American youth face poverty at 3 times the rate of white children, and Standing Rock Sioux Nation, to give one example of a tribal society, is among the economically poorest communities in the country. And whereas the regular racially insensitive actions coming from the very top of our government, and that, when taken together, threaten our national security and moral quality in the world. And whereas we seek to foster an understanding of this incident, and today call on our sisters and brothers to practice peace with justice. Peace with justice means that there can be no stable peace without justice, and no calm without fairness and equality. And now therefore, I, Martine Watkins, Mayor of the City of Santa Cruz, proclaim February 10th, 2019 as Peace with Justice Day in the City of Santa Cruz, and encourage all citizens to join in welcoming Nathan Phillips and Chase Iron Eyes to the City of Santa Cruz and support their joint mission of peace with justice.
You get a sense that a seed is being planted here today.
Yes.
The beginning of something beautiful. I next want to call on one of our new progressive city council members, who we're all looking forward to hearing from. I worked with him for 4 years to help him get into office, and now that he's there, he is truly representing all of us. Drew Glover.
Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be here today. Now, I could talk for a long time, but I want to respect the time because there's so much that we're going to cover tonight. So I wrote down my thoughts, so I'm going to read them to you. I'm honored to speak here tonight briefly about the issues that I feel that are important. But first, I want to acknowledge that tonight we're privileged, blessed, in fact, to hear from change makers, practitioners of nonviolence willing to put themselves on the front line in the battle for justice. Chase Iron Eyes, the lawyer who stood fearlessly with the people of Standing Rock against the assault of big money, banks, and oil, leading the charge on the legal front against oppression. And Nathan Phillips, the elder, who had the audacity to stand in prayer while surrounded by racism, bigotry, and intimidation. A man who has become a symbol of the resistance against, as he put it in an interview, what is ailing America. The ailment is division, and a population within our nation and here in Santa Cruz that will fight to protect the system that supports and profits from racism, militarism, materialism, poverty, empire, capitalism, patriarchy, white supremacy, and homophobia. If you want, there you go. These are the same issues that legendary leaders like Dorothy Day, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi, and Cesar Chavez all fought to eradicate. These same issues still manifest themselves not just through our country, but here at home in Santa Cruz as well. We have an affluent population of people actively fighting tooth and nail against housing protections for our low-income and working-class people. We have groups with deep pockets threatening to attempt to unseat elected officials like Councilmember Crone if we take the action that's required. We have issues of racism with graffiti and posters posted around our city with phrases like, "It's okay to be white." If you knew that, I don't know if you knew that or not. Which is a saying that's been adopted by the white supremacy organizations. We have an apartheid-like situation with people experiencing homelessness, relegated to a small, muddy, fenced area with little resources and limited access to drinking water. We have a mission here in Santa Cruz that still teaches a sanitized version of the atrocities perpetrated against the indigenous people, despite the call for change. And just south, we have the battle for Juristac, a sacred indigenous site that's being threatened to be turned into an excavation site for gravel, even with the dedicated resistance of the Amamutsan people. These issues need to be discussed, heard, and addressed. I fear, however, that as Dr. King put it, there are two Americas, just like I believe that there are two Santa Cruzes. There are those of us here tonight that understand the need to confront these hard truths. And then, I fear that there's another Santa Cruz. A Santa Cruz that is more concerned with profit margins and private property than the well-being of their fellow human. A Santa Cruz that is quick to villainize those who draw attention to the problems and actively try to tear those people down. Even I, as one of the first Black city council members in the history of the city in 2019, I myself am called a race baiter when I mention issues about anything with race. So I'm going to read a quote, and I want you to think to yourself where you think this person might live. Quote, "These kids were waiting for their bus and get verbally attacked by a bunch of Black losers and psychos who actually think he's doing something useful by pounding a drum in someone's face. There is no question who caused this event to happen. People like this," referring to Nathan, "are only causing more division, not less. Bravo to the kid who did nothing but stand and smile at the deranged group of individuals who need to get a life." Where do you think that came from? Close. Felton. So sit with that for a moment, because it didn't come from the Deep South, it didn't come from the East Coast, it came from a place about 10 miles north, maybe 10 miles north. Now, I don't tell you this because I want you to get depressed, because I know that that's really heavy, especially after that great proclamation from Councilmember Crone, but I want to say it to inspire you. To realize that we can do things here in Santa Cruz that will ripple out into the world and provide hope. I want to let you know that if you are looking to fight for change, to fight for diversity, to fight for justice, all you have to do is look outside your front door and find a place to get involved. Get involved beyond going to a march. Get involved beyond coming to this event tonight. Work with me and the people you'll hear from tonight and take a stand, non-violently, against injustice in the world and join these amazing change makers to be on the right side of history to fight for what you know is right. So I'm going to close with words from my hero, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., from a commencement address for Oberlin College in June of 1965, titled "Remaining Awake Through a Great Revolution." "Somewhere we must come to see that human progress never rolls in on the wheels of inevitability. It comes through the tireless effort and the persistent work of dedicated individuals. And without this hard work, time becomes an ally of the primitive forces of social stagnation. So we must help time and realize that the time is always right to do right." Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Okay, we're in a transition now. We're going to have a brief musical song by Gina Renee and Etienne. And I want to remind you that we want each one of you to sign the petition that I stand with Nathan. You can sign it on the way out. You can look up here and do it on your computer, do it on your phone. Nane Alejandra Barrios Unidos has made these shirts. I stand with Nathan. And these are going to be on sale at the Lakota People Lot Project table out here, also with Lakota People Lot Project thing. Okay. Gina, Renee. And Etienne. Sit up here. You think? Yeah, I think we're going to ask the speakers to take a seat in the audience, because we are going down to the final three after this, which will be Danny Sheehan, Chase Iron Eyes, and Nathan Phillips.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Gina Renee, and this is Etienne David France, if you didn't know, and we're here to bring a song to you this evening. And I want to say, as a person with African blood and Choctaw blood, and Etienne here with Cherokee blood and African as well, we stand in solidarity with this movement, and this is a movement of peace for all people, you know? And so I pray that this song blesses you, and if you enjoyed at the end, there's an opportunity to sing along with us. This is called Be the Change. I'm saying stop where you are. It's time to take a look where we at. The air we breathe in is toxic and there's way more than that. This situation's international, matter of fact, it's intergalactic. But don't make me get into that. Don't see how slowly sleeping on the streets, while others they be living a life that's so sweet. I envision a world where all needs will meet, living on the earth in harmony and peace. The only reason some still be packing heat is 'cause their lives feel so incomplete. We were all born perfect with everything we need to be free. If something happened and we stopped believing all we could be, let's remember we're a part of nature. Expressing love is what we're made for. And deep in your heart, the answer's not far. Let's come together now and play our part. Now if you don't like what you see,
Our next speaker is Danny Sheehan. Dakota Law Project Romero Institute with Sarah Nelson, right here, our homegrown, right in Santa Cruz, just a short walk from here. We wouldn't have this here without Danny. Let me explain. I met Chase almost a year ago. He just went right to my heart. You'll hear him speak. I would do anything for that man. I can say the same for Danny. Chase wouldn't be here, also out of jail probably, without Danny. It was his attorney at Standing Rock. And I know a lot of people have asked, how come Danny Sheehan is still alive? Because he takes on all these cases, and he's very good at it throughout his entire life. And one of the things is the man has profound respect for everyone, regardless of where they go, so he doesn't leave any personal baggage. He is really good as an attorney, and he is really deep as a human being. And it's my privilege to announce Santa Cruz's own Danny Sheehan.
This is what I call a friendly crowd. Great. I'm just going to have a few minutes before Chase and Nathan come on, talk in more detail about what it is that happened in Washington D.C. on January 18th. What I want to do is, as legal counsel for the Lakota People's Law Office up in Rapid City, that had been active in defending Chase Iron Eyes and working on stopping the taking of the Lakota children, some 743 children a year out of the state of South Dakota. I wanted to just frame what some of the deeper issues are that are here. Obviously, we know the issue of white supremacy and white racism, anti-Native American bigotry and prejudice, and other racial prejudice on the part of the white, now growing minority in North America. But one of the things that's really critical for us to understand here, there's a connection between what was happening at Standing Rock and what happened at the Lincoln Memorial. And that is this, that at Standing Rock, when the indigenous people began to organize and establish an encampment, the Oceti-Sakowin encampment in the pathway of the Dakota Access Pipeline. At the beginning of the protest, there was dialogue going on between the Lakota people and the law enforcement people, the people in the community, about the policy of putting the major 910,000 gallon an hour oil pipeline under the single source of drinking water for the Lakota people. And there were actual videotapes of some of the deputy sheriffs with whom a lot of the young Lakota people played basketball and everything throughout their lives. There were actually videotapes of them dancing together to the native songs. What happened is on September 3rd, the Energy Transfer Partners Corporation decided that they were going to initiate a major bulldozing of major sacred sites that had been identified officially in a court filing from the day before. And the Energy Transfer Partners Corporation of Texas brought in, immediately after that, the Tiger Swan Private Military Corporation. You've all seen the major deployment of those forces in many of the famous photographs about Standing Rock. It's important to understand that it was from that point forward that the military operation began. And a significant part of that operation was bringing in its own public relations firm. The founder of Tiger Swan Private Military Corporation, one U.S. Army Special Forces Lieutenant Colonel James Reese, had previously been the head of worldwide anti-terrorist operations for Blackwater International under Eric Prince. And immediately prior to that, he had been the principal liaison in all of Iraq and Afghanistan between the Joint Special Operations Commission of the United States Pentagon and the American Central Intelligence Agency. And the person who was running the public relations operations for the invasion of the Middle Eastern oil fields was a private public relations firm by the name of Behind the Scenes Public Relations. And the man who ran that was a man named Mark Feifel. And he is the man that the George W. Bush administration hired to sell the weapons of mass destruction lie that supported the entire invasion of the Middle Eastern oil fields and occupation. And that particular public interest law firm, this man, Mark Feifel, was the director of communications in Iraq and Afghanistan at the same time that this Lieutenant Colonel, James Reese, was the liaison between the Central Intelligence Agency and the Joint Special Operations Command. So they were there together, but a major employee and working with that man was a man by the name of Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings is the founder of the public relations firm that issued the letter in condemning Nathan after the event that took place at the Lincoln Memorial. That particular public relations firm, I refer to them as bait and switch. Their actual name is Run and Switch, is the name of their public relations firm. And this man, Scott Jennings, was actually the director of the public affairs for the W. Bush administration. And he was, in fact, the campaign public relations director for the W. Bush and Dick Cheney presidential campaign in Kentucky. And he was also the public relations campaign director for the Senate campaign for Mitch McConnell. So the story behind the story in this is the fact that there is a major move going on in the country right now to militarize the police departments, to militarize the defense of the oil corporations and the major corporations that are fostering and promoting global climate change in our world. And that militarization of the police and the private security departments is being backed by an alliance of public relations firms. And in the same way that the entire energy shifted at Standing Rock when Tiger Swan Private Military Corporation came upon the scene and brought in behind the scenes public relations firm and Mark Feifel. That's what happened at the Lincoln Memorial. When America saw what it is that those young children were doing, and with the Make America Great Again hats and the tomahawk chops and the war whooping, that all of that was going on, the American people saw that for what it was until the private public relations firm came on the scene and reached out with all of its contacts in the entire Dick Cheney, W. Bush world. And they basically sold a complete lie to the American people, to a significant portion of the American people that all started to have great qualms about their original version of seeing what it is that they were doing. So that's an extraordinarily important danger that we're facing right now. We know that we're all on the eve of watching the impeachment of Donald Trump. We know that the regular Democratic Party, the new, more moderate Democratic Party of the neoliberals, of the Bill Clintons, the Hillary Clintons, unfortunately, the Richard Gephardts and the Al Gores and the others, that they now know that type of middle marginalist, mealy-mouthed type of opposition to this hardcore right-wing element that has arisen to take over control of the Republican Party in the United States, that type of mealy-mouthed, middle marginalist opposition does not work. It does not work. Because they will just come on in and mow you down. And if you resist them through every single legal channel, they will bring in the military. And that is what the template is that was being designed at Standing Rock. And that is what we see happening here. They're bringing in their militarized public relations firm to come in behind those young students. And the fact of the matter is Donald Trump is giving license to young people like that to conduct themselves like that. It was not coincidental that those teenage boys had the Make America Great hats on. And it's because the Make America Great slogan all comes from a project for a new American century. This is a major coalition of people deep inside the Republican Party that was led by Dick Cheney and Paul Wolfowitz and David Addington and Douglas Feith and Elliot Abrams. This is an element inside the American body politic that are hardcore, right-wing, and make no mistake about it, fascists. These people are fascists. That they believe in the linking together of the instrumentalities of the power of the state to benefit the corporations. That is the definition of fascism. In the articles that were written by Mussolini at the beginning of the fascist movement. What we're looking at here is the rise of potential fascism in the country. And we see now rising up among the progressive community in our country, led by people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the Native American women that have been elected to Congress now, and the new 100 women who are now in the Congress of the United States, and the progressive women around the country who are going to be running in 2020 to unseat these Democrats who refuse to oppose these people effectively. And that's what this is all about. And that's why this incident that occurred has touched such a raw nerve. That what we have seen happen is the entire right-wing Make America Great Again public relations machine has rolled into place and is trying to get people to disbelieve what we see with our own eyes. This is exactly why Trump is as dangerous as he is. From the day that he comes into office, asserting that it was the largest crowd that had ever been assembled to watch an inauguration, to his constant assertions that he has in fact been the hardest on Russia of any president in the history of the United States, and that he is in fact the least racist president that there's ever been. To have a situation where a person in that office can say something that is as flagrantly lying all comes from the ideas of Karl Rove. That comes right from there. When Karl Rove told Ron Suskind in an interview, the problem with you Democrats is that you're still functioning with a reality-based reality. So you really understand, their whole idea is you don't have to respect the truth. All you have to do is put up a frame that is going to stimulate the lowest energy systems of our human family, and then put it out and keep saying that it's true. And that you're going to get about 12 to 15% of the people in the country. That element that Abraham Lincoln said, you can fool some of the people all the time, and all of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. Their constituency are the people that you can fool all the time. And they're depending that 15% can stay rock hard, can stay in solidarity, while they split all the rest of us. This is what they're up to here. They're trying to set the Native American people against the young people, the progressive community against the Catholics, the black people against the white people against the Native Americans. So what we have to do here is, while we do need to focus on the facts, we need to concentrate on the fact that the right-wing, hardcore public relations firm of Run and Switch, run by Scott Jennings, in fact, put together a 3-page statement that caused a young junior in high school to lie to the American people in front of the entire country on the Good Morning America, to sit there and lie and say that he had never seen anybody do any type of these tomahawk chops. He had not, in fact, placed himself in the front, right in front of Nathan, that Nathan had come all the way over to get in front of him. All you have to do is look at the videotapes, and you not only can see them doing the tomahawk chop, you can see him, this young fellow, Nick Sandman, doing the tomahawk chop. Okay, so what we're dealing with here is not to demonize a young 16-year-old boy, not even to demonize a group of teenagers that are all het up over being insulted by a black group. But the fact of the matter is there is a deeper story to what's going on here. And we cannot allow ourselves to be deceived by this. So when we ask you to back Nathan, we're asking you to back Nathan not against a young high school kid or even against Covington High School. It's against this machine. It's against this fascist right-wing machine that is attempting here at the end of the Cold War to take over our country. And that is what we have to keep our eye on. And that is what we need to fight for. And that's why you need to be on the side of Nathan. Okay? Thank you very much. I just want to make that clear. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny Sheehan. All right, we've come to the part you've all come here for. As Chase and Nathan take the stage, I want to say that I told you how I felt about Nathan. I haven't met the man until today, but I knew Chase, and I knew his heart, and I knew his walk. And it's just 2 days ago? Yeah, 24, about 48 hours ago, I'm on the phone, and he says he has invited Nathan. And so I want to thank Chase for inviting Nathan. And when Chase said he's invited Nathan, I will do anything for both of them. And I just ask you to listen with an open heart. These gentlemen both are very brilliant and very down to earth, and they come from the heart. And so the new story that we're trying to birth on earth comes from people like this, people who have the guts to tell the truth and the guts to step into that place between the warring factions and actually stand for peace with justice, actually stand for truth. And their defense is just the truth. Their defense is their lives. The defense is their willingness to be transparent and open and prayerful. That defense only works if we unite, if we recognize that they're standing there for us. When they stand up, they're standing there for me. When I stand up, I'm standing there for them. If we could only see all the strands that weave us with all of creation all the time, we would never be afraid. If we only understood that we here, in the blink of an eye, are the ancestors of those 7 generations to come. If we only understood this great mystery, this web of life, that we come from someplace, and when we leave here, there is a spirit world. And whatever you believe happens before or after, you know in your heart that's true. So, pardon me? Okay, so we now have a video that a few of you have seen. And then we're going to have our 2 speakers. Roll the video.
Ha Madakyapi, Kola Yuha Ichichab, Chase, Iron Eyes, Imachab. I wanted to say thank you for everybody who is listening, everybody who has paid attention to our journey with myself and Lakota People's Law Project. As you know, we had a hand in organizing the inaugural Indigenous Peoples March, which is an annual expression of our efforts at the Indigenous Peoples movement. We ended the march early, and I remember standing there. I remember seeing Nathan Phillips, who I had not seen since the battle for Standing Rock, the No Dapple struggle. I remember seeing Nathan at the Lincoln Memorial where Martin Luther King had given his I Have a Dream speech. I remember seeing Nathan standing there, and I know that Nathan is the type of brother, he's our elder. He's the type of brother who will go to where the struggle needs him. And I shook his hand, gave him a hug, and we parted ways. All this commotion started to go down. These kids were just rambunctious as all get out. And I went probably 30 meters away from the bottom of the Lincoln Memorial. I was close enough where I could film them, I could see them, I could feel that aggressive energy coming from them, but the only way I was going back into that melee is if they started to attack Nathan Phillips. The MAGA machine, the full might of the MAGA spin machine has made us question Nathan Phillips, our elder, made us question his service to this country. Our elder Nathan Phillips put his body in harm's way and offered a prayer to diffuse a very dangerous, potentially volatile situation. They were able to flip this narrative and make it appear that Covington Catholic is the victim and Nathan Phillips, our elder, was the aggressor. We must always remember what we saw.
It's not rape if you enjoy it.
We are continuing to battle against the entire might of the MAGA spin machine. You can see the narrative change, just like in Standing Rock, where indigenous nations, the original civilizers, were cast as terrorists, indigenous jihadists in our own homeland. We have to point out the culprit, the environment that created the Covington Kids MAGA hat phenomenon. And that is the culture of racism.
Land gets stolen. It's how it works.
We have to call it out for what it is. I wanted to get those ideas out and make sure we remember why we were there in the first place. We were there to call attention to our children who are being taken every single day in violation of the Indian Child Welfare Act. We were there to call attention to the epidemic of missing and murdered indigenous women. Please Google that. Follow whatever women are speaking on that issue. We were there to tell the United States and the world that as tribal nations, as indigenous nations, we do not deserve to live in a slow genocide. I had never been up against the MAGA spin machine before. Now I see how quickly it can change the narrative. So those of you who are paying attention, please continue to do so. Those of you who supported the Indigenous Peoples March, please continue to do so. We will always be there on the front line and organizing in California, in South Dakota, all across the world. We have connections now. And our work will continue, and we will continue to strengthen our presence.
I'd like to welcome Chase Iron Eyes.
How Madakyapi, Kola Yuha Ichichab, Wana Oglala Ma Koche El Wati, Ate Wayaki, Oglala, Junlil Ichiapi, Na Iomosla, Emataha, Inawayaki, Iomosla. Birdie Iron Eyes. My name is Chase Iron Eyes, and I know there's I have at least one brother who, Lakota Woglaka, he speaks Lakota. That's a brother, Kelvin Spotted Elk, who is one of Santa Cruz's very own. So very happy to see some of our people here tonight. But, you know, just watching that video, and like so many things in the movement, it just, sometimes we don't have the time or the mental space to step back and see what we're actually doing. Like we're not, we don't manufacture any of this. And I was kind of doing that when I was running for the United States Congress, but we just, everything that you see that we have done, for me, over the last 7 years, I've been with Lakota Law for almost 7 years now. And we've been able to do a lot of things. We've been able to reclaim stolen sacred sites and do our part. What we feel is to return everybody to a space where we have within our imagination, within our worldview, within our indigenous roots, we have within us the ability to appreciate the sacred. And what's been sold to us as civilization, as enlightenment, coupled with scientific supremacy, and perhaps the myth that we can technologize ourselves to salvation. All of those things deserve to be called into question by those of us who are paying attention and know that what was sold to us as civilization is going to result in a very quick shelf life for our species, unless we continue to do what we were born to do, which is to protect what is sacred and what we need for us to have a dignified life. Now that I live on Pine Ridge, I see very viscerally and painfully all of the things that I've talked about, because I grew up on Standing Rock, and I deconstructed and analyzed the legal, political, and economic oppression that is represented by the relationship between tribal nations and the United States. And I met Nathan and his daughter Alethea and Raymond Kingfisher at Standing Rock. Tens of thousands of people dropped whatever they were doing and came to the front line at Standing Rock. And it's mind-blowing to me, the fact that we are facing the very same public relations apparatus. I call it the MAGA spin machine because I've never seen anything like that happen. Nathan stood in a whirlwind. He brought what he was gifted with, the song, the drum, and compassion. Wa'achwala Nathan Tawa Yuhamani, he walks, that's who he is. He has humility. And I don't think there was anybody else who could have stood in their peace in the face of a very aggressive environment, very just high tension. I walked away from it because I couldn't trust myself to be around that kind of energy. I don't know if I could have stood in the power of my peace there. But we all know that is what is being asked of us. That is our calling, to stand in that power. Peace with justice. It's just another way of saying no justice, no peace. That ability to seek out love and liberation and to be able to stand in the power of peace, which to know the power of peace, wo Lakota, is to be able to stand against any injustice without returning that violence, without returning that aggression. We've tried that. My fathers have tried that. And now we're in a time where we have within us the ability to liberate from those differences that we were born into. Those differences that the MAGA spin machine is so cleverly and brilliantly exploiting to our detriment. They know, they can feel it. You can feel them tightening. They're getting tense, they're fearful. They're bringing lawsuits. They got the smear machine going on. And this is what fear does when it knows it's had. They know their day has come. These are the last gasps of an obsolete ideology, and we just have to take the next step and put it to rest. It doesn't have a place in our world. But I wanted to just share a few words in how I know Nathan Phillips, Raymond Kingfisher, and Alethea Phillips, and invite them to come up here just so we can share a conversation amongst friends, everybody who has showed up. Every time I come to Santa Cruz, I feel encouraged. I know I'm on the woke coast. And sometimes you don't realize, sometimes you might not appreciate the fact that you are a bastion. When it comes down to it, your ability to organize within your own family, within your own community, to make these stands and let people know that those children coming across these colonially imposed borders, those are indigenous children. They are not zoo animals. It's going to take all of our honest and collective and empowered effort. The heart and soul of our very nation is being fought for every single day, and we vow to show up for that fight. But I just wanted to introduce Nathan, Alethea, and Raymond. If you want, we can take a seat here. We'll get this figured out up here. So anyway, I'm extremely honored and privileged to be sharing space, not only with our elders and Alethea, but with people who are here, who are leaders, who are taking it upon themselves to pull their own weight and to shoulder their load in our collective struggle. But I would like to, ask Nathan just to introduce yourself and talk about, how you felt coming out to Santa Cruz.
My name is Nathan Phillips. I'm from Omaha. My clan's Deer Clan. When I was 5 years old, I was forcibly removed from my home, and so I appreciate, Chase Iron Eyes, when he's speaking his language like that. I feel that I should be speaking to you in Omaha, but that's how things are sometimes. And I would like to say, I ask my elders to excuse me for speaking in front of you here tonight. And I would like to say, I'm really appreciating being here in Santa Cruz at this time. And I hadn't really decided to come here until yesterday, about 11 o'clock yesterday afternoon, or yesterday morning. And so they put us on a plane and brought us over here, and we're just really happy to be here. And thank you.
Lydia, can you introduce yourself?
Baby there, Withathamake, Ajaje, Withathe, Hekureme. Hello, my name is Alethea Phillips. I'm from the Omaha tribe of Nebraska. I'm 19 years old, and for the past 2 years, my father and I have been working on stopping extraction industries on indigenous lands. We spent 4 months in Standing Rock, North Dakota, where we met Chase here. And we've worked on divestment, the divestment group, so JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Citibank. If you take that money and put it into an independent bank or credit union, it doesn't go to the extraction industry. So we worked with Ray and Washington State on stopping the liquid natural gas fracking. We've worked with our own tribe in Omaha, Nebraska on stopping the Keystone XL pipeline. So when we stand with Nathan Phillips, we really want to make sure that we're standing with the issues that my father represents. So I just wanted to thank you all for being here. Thank you for being so welcoming. Santa Cruz is an absolutely beautiful place. We belong.
Hoi ha na shimne, imavid na hista. Maina vikis namshim, na chista. The one that flies out is my Cheyenne name. Imavid na hista had come before the books were written, including the Bible. Maina vikis namshim, kingfisher. Holy bird, medicine bird, it's my grandfather. I'm Chista, I'm Cheyenne. I went to Standing Rock 6 times, eventually moved over there. I wanted to get food stamps, but they wouldn't let me. I didn't change my address. I ran into my brother over there. I'd been there already, and they treated Nathan real good. They gave him a yurt and everything. It's a really nice, warm place to live. I got to go visit him sometimes over there. It's a good place. But I was there for a few months. It's good to be there, be a part of that movement, their family. It's like it was our home. When they removed us, they took a part of our heart with them. Our hearts are still there at Ocheti Shakaway, Chikangu Camp, and Sacred Stone. A piece of us are still there right now. But this movement has spread across the country, across the nation, across the world. To scatter the sacred fire. But we took those ashes and we We took them, we give our beliefs of what we do and what we stand for throughout the world. So this is why we're here, and this is why you're here. Thank you.
So I wanted to ask a question, and thank you for that, Nathan. Wamni omni ichia. Nathan, I really appreciate you saying that about the language, because those are languages that come from this hemisphere. They come from the earth here. And we don't really know how old they are. They're millions of years old. Like we do not believe in the Bering Strait. You know what I'm saying? For all we know, the migration went that way. You know what I'm saying? But Nathan, his name is Whirling Wind, and what we saw there, and I wanted to ask Nathan about that, how he felt that day, because we just had a powerful march. Nathan came from a long ways to be there on very, very short notice. He drove all night, and I wanted to just ask Nathan, if I could, what was going on at the end of the march there, and what led to you standing inside that whirlwind. If you could just take us there for however long you want.
So I just silently made a prayer. And that's how my day started out, January 18th, 2017, 2 years ago, from that Friday. So, January 18th, 2017, got up and did my regular prayer walk. I stayed at a place called Sacred Stone. It was on the other side of the Cannonball River. It's about a mile walk over there to maybe a little bit longer, to the Rosebud Camp. And I went over there. There's a sacred fire there, there's a sacred fire back there, so I started those fires, and I went to all those sacred fires, and I walked across the river. Then I went over there where the sweat lodges are, and said my prayers, prayer walk, So then I made my way around up to the camps, and up there, said my prayers with all the different peoples that were there. Did that every day, when I was there, since Indigenous Peoples Morning Day. Known as Thanksgiving Day, the day I got there. So we're doing that, and then that evening, over there by that river, the backwater river, there's a bridge there. And that's the one where they showed here, where they had the water cannons. That's the bridge. So that was a bridge of contention, I guess. They blocked it off, and blocked off that road, 1806. Then they have radios there, our securities, So everybody to the bridge, Over there, Martin Luther King weekend, they thought, we're gonna go pray, go set up teepee. The way I understand is that teepee's a prayer lodge, so they set that up. Them guys, they came across that bridge and they grabbed that teepee and took it away, angered the young people. And they started being on that bridge and wanting that teepee back. Them guys over there wouldn't give it back. So then we went down there with our drones. There was a hill there, stand there singing prayer songs, you know. While we were standing there singing those prayer songs, you know, they started massing, lots of them, over there, facing us with their guns and their cannons and their... I was worried for our youth that are around us. We were standing strong. It was dark and it was cold night. And I turned around, looked behind me like that to see how many people was back there. There was a whole, all the camp seemed to be there. It was had cars all the way up to the top of the hill. And then when I looked back there, I seen them start to put up another teepee. Seen those poles going up. We was just getting ready to sing another song, and I seen that teepee go up, and I looked at where I was at, where that teepee was, and where those guys were, and I said, oh, we're in the wrong spot. We got about halfway through that song, and I was thinking, to get done with the song, we're gonna have to get either behind that teepee or, you know, figure out where we're standing here. About that time, those those cannons went off, those bombs, those little canisters went off. I'm not calling them bombs, but there were explosions and people got shot. One fella got shot in the eye that night, lost his eye. Marcus, you know, bless him. About that time I was singing, and we was all singing, and I seen my fellow singers falling like that. And about that time something hit me and knocked me to the ground. I'm not sure what it was, but I got to the place where I could take a shower, looked at my chest, there was a welt right there, and that's what was hurting for a couple days. That was January 18th, 2017. You know, one of our security snatched me up off the ground and ran me up the hill, threw me in a truck and said, get him out of here. As I was driving out, I seen more of our water protectors coming down to that front line there. So that was that morning I said my prayer with that tobacco. And then January 18th, 2019, I was saying a sunrise prayer. A lot of people were there. They were singing and really enjoying ourselves there that day, all day long. It was always a thought of how to better ourselves. My Omaha people, they say when we first got a thought, it was, let us put our minds together so that we might better ourselves. And that's how I see that Indigenous Peoples March, you know, that we're going to come together, we're going to put our minds together, how to better ourselves, you know. It was our minds that would better ourselves, you know, better America, you know, like that. So throughout the day, we marched in solidarity with a better thought, a better tomorrow in mind. Then we gathered and we talked and we shared heart-filled moments, you know, of times past and hopefully for better times tomorrow. And then at the end, we gathered and we had our final round dance for the day. I was dancing, they showed me a picture there, I was dancing, really enjoying that moment. Coming together, unifying, and searching for a way to be a part of a better tomorrow. And that's how I felt that evening, you know. And then that circle, when it ended, I stepped out into America. And what was going on there, that didn't just happen just in minutes. It started around the noon hour. These men were out there. What I believe is they were coming from a place of hurt and pain. So what they were throwing at us, you know, the elders got together and said, just let them be. Just what I understood that day was returning hate with love. So we just, you know, went about our business, and they said what they were saying, these individuals. And the same day, there was another march going on over there. They called it the Right to Life March, protest. And in the afternoon, after their march was over, they started coming through, because up there at the Lincoln Memorial, up there, there's a place up there where all the buses come and pick their people up. So early in the afternoon, there was a small group of people there. They've seen these guys. They got offended back and forth. Seen that, then those guys went away, and then they came back. It's like a wave, back and forth, ebb and flow. And each time that wave came back, it got stronger and bigger. And all this time we're just trying to continue with our prayer, our thoughts for a better tomorrow. And then as we were closing, you know, our ceremony, and like I say, had our final dance, and people were picking up and putting things away, getting ready to have another meeting later. Still weren't done with our, you know, 4-day event. That's when I stepped out of that sacred circle, and I noticed what was happening, and I watched it. And where it shows, the video shows me coming out there, the moments right before that, he came up to me, "Uncle, we got to do something." And my first thought was, I ain't got to do nothing. You know? But then at that same moment, it saved, you know, is that what am I going to do when that time comes and I got to answer to that man, come to the happy hunting grounds, what did you do that day? Somehow a drum was put in my hand. I'm not sure who put that drum in my hand, but there it is. And then the next thing I know, I'm singing a song that I learned, the first song I ever learned. And just real quick, I was taken away from my family when I was 5, and I was beaten for speaking my language like that, you know, so abusive situation. So when I came home to my people, I was about 16, and I met my brother, and he taught me that song. And it's a prayer song. It has no words, because sometimes the bottom of your heart, you just can't get those words out. So that song was for what I witnessed and I experienced all day long, that feeling I had for my future, for my next generations. I can't really express, how much I miss my mom, my dad, my brother. But through that song, like that's kind of explained that song. So when I was singing, and I put one foot in front of the other, that's part of my Omaha way. As they say, every step's a prayer. Every breath is a breath of thankfulness, gratefulness for this life. So I was walking in prayer and expressing gratefulness for America. Some people quite don't understand when I say that I was singing for America. Of course, my indigenous people, but we have a unique relationship. We have a relationship, American citizenship, Omaha citizenship, and I'm proud to be both Omaha and American. We have treaties that were made in the presence of God. And so when they say we have to do something, first, whenever I'm faced with adversity, and I'm a fearful person. I get scared real easy. And when I'm afraid, I turn to God. And what I seen there was, I was afraid for my country. And that's why I sang. That's why I prayed, because we're gonna. There's folks who don't believe in God, maybe. I don't know, but I do. And I believe there's other people out there who have that same faith, whether they call him Allah, God, Jehovah, Wakanda, Wakantanka, Messiah. It's like the songs of the birds in the morning when I hear them singing at sunrise, they're all singing the praises to God. So that's what I did there, January 18th. And when I found myself there, people asked me why I faced them young people like that. When I seen what I seen, I didn't see political, I didn't see race, I didn't see the MAGA hats. Or maybe I did, but it didn't register. I seen the youth of America. And that's who I faced, our next generation. I faced them with a prayer and a song. I believe the Washington Monument grounds are a holy, sacred place. Each and every one of us who come to this Turtle Island, to this land, whether we walked here or we came up from out the earth, or if we came from the stars. Omaha people, we believe we came from the Pleiadians came here. But whoever, however you come to this terra firma, we sacrificed for this land, each and every one of us. Whether we came on a boat, we came, walked here, came in an airplane. Today, there's going to be somebody coming into this country today, legally or illegally. They're going to make this their home. We are in critical times. And when I found myself in that whirling wind, I found myself in a center there that was calm, in peace, protected, despite what else is going on. What I believe for my America, our America, that peace that I was blessed with and that protection I want that for each and every one of you. I want it for those children. I want it for those men. But I'm just a nobody, yeah. But still, that's what I want. I don't want to leave my children a messed up place. I don't want to come to that time and I've heard it before where, you come to that holy gates and you did something. Excuse me, relatives, I don't mean to ramble. I feel like I just woke up in this very woke city.
You can see how Nathan expresses the potential that we have as human beings here, caught up in these times, caught up in very contentious times, for him to say without reservation and that he loves God, to express his love for the powers of creation. As indigenous nations, we've kept alive those covenants with the sacred, with the waters, with the sites, with the land and the cosmos. That cosmology so desperately needs to be imparted to our institutions of economics, politics, jurisprudence. It's all there, and it's still alive. You can feel it in Nathan. I wanted to ask Alethea, his daughter, how their life has changed, how you've been handling it, and what your plans are, if you have anything else that you need to add.
Right, well, for starters, I did have to go out to Washington, D.C. to really what I want people to take from this is I want this to be used as a platform to amplify the Indigenous voices that need to be heard. I think this incident has brought out into the public what my father's values are about peace, about prayer, about action, about when you see something that's wrong, you step in and you do something. In the best of your ability, you have that opportunity to speak up and call things out as you see them every day in our society. And so with this voice that we've been given, I really want this to be about the overall issues of Native American communities, about missing and murdered Indigenous women. Native American women have a 1 in 3 chance of being sexually assaulted within their lifetime. And so this is something that I'd like to share. I'd like people to call their congressmen, ask them to support the bill LP 153. It's a study about missing and murdered Indigenous women in Nebraska from my tribe's home state. We want to talk about the issues of Native American children and the Indian Child Welfare Act and not letting this expire, about talking about the Savannah Act, about talking about environmental racism. That's one thing that we saw out at Standing Rock. So this is more about, it's not just this isolated incident that's happened to my father. It's a lifetime of work and dedication to Indigenous communities and the reasons that we're here. So amongst all of this hate and all of these articles that I've gone through day after day about defending this Sandman, about all of these other issues. He's about 16 years old. As a context, when I was 17 years old, my father and I were in Standing Rock, North Dakota for 4 months. Okay, we're there. So during that time in Standing Rock, I got shot at, I got tear gassed, and I got maced in the middle of a prayer song. So this is more about the issues that are facing our communities, about the issues of racism in the many contexts that it takes form, as a form of systematic racism, of environmental racism, of this larger context of this issue, of the history of the Catholic Church and the doctrine of discovery and the boarding schools and everything that has happened after it.
Thank you for that. Peace with justice always requires a truth-telling before we can get there. And with people like Alethea, people like yourselves in the room willing to face those harsh truths, we can get there. Together we can get there. I wanted to ask Raymond if he could give us his interpretation or how you felt about that day there in D.C. during the Indigenous Peoples March.
It was pretty astonishing what I witnessed. It was, I was really happy to see Nathan when he showed up over there. Because I knew he was on his way. And I was asked amongst like 9 or 10 other people to open the prayer march. The Indigenous Peoples March, opened it up with a prayer. And there were several people in front of me before I got to say my portion of that. And all these different people were going up and saying prayers, singing songs, different type of prayer, ways of prayer that we do. And I knew my time was coming up, and I kept looking for Nathan. And all of a sudden, these people were talking in front of me right before Sleepy Eye the Frog Boys and them are singing some Native American church songs, so they asked me to sing with them. When I was up there singing, I seen Nathan out there in the crowd. So I was really happy. So she waved at him and everything. So he drove all night. We got him over there. He got him a rental car and hustled up some gas money for him and sent it out to him. And here he took off and prayed all night. His prayer got him there. D.C. right there. And I asked him to come up and sing with me. It's a song that I always sing for prayer. And we're having a good time, It was really good, happy to see each other. And we marched over there and marched down Pennsylvania Avenue and took a right down there and by that reflecting well pond or whatever. And marched back up over there to the Lincoln Memorial. We were over there all day long, watching people sing and dance and have a good time, and nothing but positive words for everybody. All the people that were there from these different nations, different tribes, different indigenous peoples. A lot of them were from throughout different South America, even, there was even that African was there, and these different people from New Zealand, everywhere around the world. They all had messages, for about the way our existence, we need to keep it up like that, And my belief is that, through prayer, it's a really powerful thing. And every day, when you start your day, you need to open up with prayer. One of the things that I learned just recently that was really profound to me was when Nathan got to speak to this guy named Reverend Carter, I believe. Jay-Z's private pastor. But he talked and he said, when you wake up and you start your day, and you start off, and you get up, brush your teeth, whatever, get ready, then you say your prayer, take your day. He said, you need to go further than that, you need to go beyond that. He said, when you wake up, you open your eyes, you start your day with a prayer right there, even before you get out of bed. And you continue to pray all day as you journey through your day. At the end of the day, you finish it off with a prayer. Just like what we're going to do here later on, when we finish this, we will finish with a prayer because we began with a prayer, we end with a prayer. Prayers are strong, and we all pray together. Our prayers are heard. Just like that, we learned that when we pray the Inipi ceremonies together. We pray as one. We ask people not to leave or even go out if they can't, if they don't need to, because our prayers are stronger when we're together. All the different ceremonies that we practice, we pray in unification. We help each other, we pray for each other. And it was a powerful thing to witness that. But Nathan, when he went between just faction of black Israelites who were causing all kinds of problems for everyone that walked by them, anyone that was walking by them, they were set up right behind where we were having our Indigenous Peoples March, speakers and dances, and every time our performances would end, they would just start up hollering, just making all kinds of noise. And then the Catholics came there too, the Catholic boys, the MAGA boys, Make America Great Again, Catholic style. That's the way they believed it, They thought they were doing everyone good by jumping around, and they were doing the haka. If I was Polynesian, I would be very upset about that, right now. That's appropriation of a culture right there. But still, we I witnessed all this, you know, I was really afraid because it was really tense. Right in the moment, right there, this screaming Catholics and these other profane Israelites. It was like two clashes of religions that came to America to practice their freedom of religion, going against each other right there in front of Lincoln Memorial. And we knew something was going to happen. It was just too heated. Someone asked Nathan, we should do something. So that's when he took it on to his, you know, the way that he felt in his heart, or maybe the ancestors took it upon themselves and went into his body and his mind and took him to that place because he was in prayer. When you're in prayer, you can do anything. You pray, you can flip a car over and people underneath there. When you pray, things happen, miracles happen. When he was there, he was in prayer. That song was a prayer song. We express ourselves when we pray through our songs, through our native tongue, or even in English. But they always say, our people, if we can say our prayer in our native tongue, it's that much more powerful. Because we have ancestors that are watching over us, and they still speak that language. So when you talk to them in your language that you learn, that your people learn, then you're talking to the ancestors. Further back, all of you that are sitting here were brought here by ancestors, and they fought hard just to be here, for you to be able to be here also. Your ancestors prayed, and they fought hard to be here. So we ask you too to continue your prayers and support Nathan as he goes through this journey in his walk. Every walk that he takes was a step on Mother Earth is a prayer. We believe that when we go into the sweat lodge and we heat up those rocks with the fire and we pour the water on there like that and it gets extremely hot. But those rocks are sacred to us because they're old and they've witnessed many things through this time that we are going through. And when you give all your negative feelings and your problems to those rocks, and you pour that water on them in your prayer and you suffer, and with those rocks, they're all over the earth, and when you pray with those rocks like that, you're blessed by suffering, by taking that pain that you think of your relatives when you're hurting. Let me take that pain. Let me take that pain away from the people that are suffering from whatever's happening to them. And we'll take it with us and we'll suffer and we'll pray in that way. And when that happens, and when we come out of there, our problems remain on them rocks. But when we walk, this whole earth is full of rocks. And when we walk in prayer because we walk on those rocks every day. Because our ancestors are buried there. Within those rocks, within that ground, within those roots, the blood of our people are still there. And that is why we're still here. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Raymond. You know, we got time for one more question, and I'll ask that of Nathan. And I just want to say thank you for coming. Thank you, Alethea. Thank you, Raymond. I met all of them at Standing Rock, and everybody looks much different now than they did at Standing Rock. I told Nathan, I said, you remember that one day I met you in the dome? You remember it was that cold day? And I could hear him laughing on the other end of the phone. Every day was cold out there. The battle for Standing Rock there was a line, and Nathan, it's auspicious that 2 years to the very day Nathan took this step at the Indigenous Peoples March, 2 years to the day, he was out getting shot up at Backwater Bridge just for praying. There's a line there. Big, financial, extractive, all privatized, everything, endless war machine that's imposing austerity, humiliating and disrespecting American workers, imposing austerity, saying your Social Security is done, your health care is done. They're making us fight for very basic human dignities. And Nathan being willing to do what needs to be done, we have to respond with peace and justice and give license to the opposite of fear and hate, which is being represented by the Green New Deal. And the unofficial spokesperson, or the official, is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Nathan, Alethea, and Raymond got to visit Congresswoman Deb Haaland and Sharice Davids, the first two Native women in history. We're all very much inspired by the 100 new women in those halls of Congress. There is a new energy. So I wanted to give you, Nathan, the opportunity to close us out because we are running out of time, and I want to thank you very much. And Nathan won't ask for it, but if you want to donate to Nathan, he is the type of brother that travels wherever he's needed with whatever he's got. I fully trust Nathan, Alethea, and Raymond. So just come see us after, or you can go on the screen up there perhaps, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to say what's next for you, and maybe that's just getting to tomorrow, but say what's next for you, and talk to us about what you'd like to see from here on out.
Thank you. What would you like to see from here on out is the new Congress to be able to, address these issues that are at hand. One thing that I'm really concerned about is our environment. What's happening there, how it is. The oceans are in danger. Then there's all the elements of life. The fire has been poisoned by nuclear. The water is being poisoned by that oils. Our lands being ripped apart. Extraction industries. I'd like us to see us come together in a good way and work on these things. What was this Green New Deal? I heard about it, but I'm like a lot of other Americans, we just hear these things and we're not really. But the way it's coming across now, at this time, this isn't just a slogan. This isn't just a business as usual. This is that call. I would say that the prayer and what I was a part of January 18th, 2019 was a part of that call. A call to action, a call to prayer. And I believe that each and every one of us has to answer that call. I believe that if we do rise up en masse, all the good peoples, not just in America and here in Santa Cruz and on our reservations, but in the world, we can see something as soon as in 11 years, a dramatic change if we want it. We need to do this. You know, it's not a want, it's a need. I would say support the Woman Nation. Oh, I just want to say thank you, Daniel Sheehan, and everybody, and the folks who opened this up for us, and the home people, the Ohlone people, for welcoming us here. And I really enjoyed going out to the bay today. I got a moment to go out there and watch the ocean and be a part of that, where the water meets the land. And you know, as I heard her sing, it was like I could hear that when I was at the bay there. I almost could. I seen a picture of. It was really beautiful. Thank you each and every one of you.
Thank you. Let's hear it. We're going to close with the song you're going to offer it. I want to remind people, when you go out, the open letter to the world, Stand with Nathan Phillips. Get your name on that. The t-shirts are out there. Any money that you can leave, the cost for the hall, the cost for the plane tickets, and then direct donations to Nathan are welcome. So,
Native Youth Alliance at gmail.com. That's the PayPal.
Native Youth Alliance at gmail.com. That's the PayPal. So, Raymond, you're going to finish, and then we're going to bring some drumming out, and I want also Nane, who has another one who's going to offer, he's going to introduce someone who's also going to do a prayer song.
I just have a couple messages for all of you. Nathan forgot to mention that we're doing a prayer walk up in Cannonball, North Dakota in 2 weeks. So if y'all can come up there, is that all right? That'll be good. But like on his birthday is actually February 22nd, the anniversary of the closure of Chichishakowin. He'll be 65 years old, so we'll be up in Cannonball, North Dakota, freezing, but celebrating his birthday.
Come on up to Cannonball, North Dakota, February 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and 25th.
One of the things that I always like to emphasize is today I got a new water bottle, which is one of the best things that you can give to a human being to save Mother Earth is to give him a water bottle. Right there. Anyway, so what I like to tell people is like, when you have a bottle of water, you need to, if you see an empty one or that's half empty, take that cap off and pour that water out, because this water is alive. If you see coffee or sodas pour them back out on the ground because there's water inside there. If you don't take the cap off of the lid of plastic and it makes it to the landfill, it takes that much more space. It takes up more space for our landfills. So remember, if you don't remember anything else, take the lid off, throw it away, okay? Or when you recycle. So at this time, I'm going to sing a prayer song that we sang out there on the front lines at Standing Rock. It's got Cheyenne words in it. According to the Freedom of Religion Act, this is an instrument of prayer. So I'm going to sing this song to you, and it's got Cheyenne words in it, and it says, Creator, we're praying to you. Creator, we're praying to you, have mercy on us. Creator, we're praying to you. So this song here is a blessing to all of you. Wait,
Thank you for that honoring. This is Nane Alejandro's.
I want to thank everybody for coming, and Nathan, you know, we go back to the Veterans Peace Action teams out of here, out of Santa Cruz. We met at Big Mountain to help the elders out there, so Nathan, it's great to see you again. You know, our brother Shannon Rivers is going to do a closing song and a prayer song with Nathan on behalf of Nathan. But I just want to say about Brother Shannon that he is a spiritual leader for many of the brothers that are incarcerated. They're in the penitentiaries, and he has been helping many. So anyone that has been there or has a relative, this is one of the brothers that takes care of them. So again, all my relations, Shannon Rivers.
Good evening, relatives. Are you awake? Yeah. All right. So my colonized name is Shannon Rivers. If I tell you my real Indian name, we'd have to kill you, but this is a peace and justice move, so we don't want to hurt anyone. I was asked to come up here, and I want Nane and all our relatives who come from these Ohlone territories, we'll give them a little bit to get up here. I am the Native American spiritual leader. That's kind of an awkward name for me, for men and women in prisons in Arizona and California. I work here at Salinas Valley State Prison, where they house over 3,700 men. And they tell me that they're the worst of the worst. I don't see that. I see human beings. I see brothers and sisters who have been impacted by colonization, racism, forced relocation, environmental degradation, and the lack of love and compassion. My job, if that's what they call it, is sometimes difficult. But I see these men and I care for these men, and all these men and women that are up here. They have walked this walk for many years. Hi, Anne Marie. Chase, welcome to come up here, brother. I don't know where he's at. I've known Chase for quite a number of years. We've done work in the United Nations. But I have a gift for our brother Nathan. And I want to apologize because earlier I was wearing this necklace because it felt so powerful. And it's made by the men in Salinas Valley State Prison. And to me it means a lot. When these men have these small items to make these most beautiful things, and they want to give a gift, they see you on TV. They see all of you on TV, and because first they can get cell phones and TV and they watch YouTube. They are not all criminals. These are human beings. Help me help them. And remember that Native people have the highest incarceration rate of any other person in the United States. And you say, how is that? And I say, a people that were once 25 million in North America are down to 4 million. And our population is young, and we are poor, and we are struggling, and many of us are uneducated. Understand those numbers, that it is difficult for us as Native people. I want to thank Nane for asking me to come up here. Tatanka, thank you for taking care of it. Chase and all your relatives coming and being here. I want to offer a song, and it's called the Red Road Song. It is about sobriety and walking this path that is very difficult. I understand my brother Nathan here is a pipe keeper and he's a sun dancer. We wamwachi. And he dances this way, so I'm going to ask you, after I stop speaking, to turn the cameras off. Because these things are sacred. These songs are ancient and they're sacred. And I asked the men in prison, what else do you want me to say to him? And they said, sing him the Red Road Song. These men in prison have horrible voices. But I love them, and they get on the drum and they try to sing. We teach them and we love them and we care for them. All of these relatives here, we love them. They are our relatives. And they are your relatives. Some of them will be coming out, some of them will never come out. In a colonized place, can you imagine being indigenous imprisoned in your own land? I can't wrap my head around that. But today I want to give this offering to Nathan. It is a little bundle of sage. And these men don't have much. And it is a necklace with an arrowhead on it. An arrowhead, they say in my culture, in the O'odham tradition, we carry 2 arrows. One for peace and one for war. And we're giving this to him so that he can carry on our peace. But if war comes, then so be it. But we are here as warriors trying to help the people, those of you that are foreigners to our land. So we say to him, our kola, our lekshe, our elder, our brother, our now what? Tell him thank you for today and for all his life. No cameras, please. You know, you get up on stage and you see all these crazy white people looking at you. That was a prayer song, that was a thank you song. And, but that's good too. So, I wanted to say thank you, Nathan. We're closing it out with the AIM song. I'm gonna ask our brother here to use the big drum, Nane. If we can pull that out, and we can record that song. Nate, if you can help us with that song, and our brother there gonna pull it out and remain standing. This is the national anthem of the American Indian movement, and it was given to the American Indian movement in 1972 because of the killing of a man by the name of Raymond Yellow Thunder. And back in the 70s and the 60s, Indian people felt like they didn't know what else to do. And so they fought. Two of my brothers were killed at that time, and I'm sure many of our relatives can relate. We've lost many of our people. So remain standing, and they always say that if you want to raise your hand, you can do that. It is a form of resistance, resisting against colonization, forced relocation, and for us with the American Indian movement, we love this way of life. I'd know no other. So this is who we are, and thank you for coming. We love you, we care for you, and once again, let's thank our brother Nathan for coming, and Chase Iron Eyes, and Raymond, and their daughter. Thank you once again, relatives. Have a good night. Oh.
Thank you to all the water protectors in the audience. Let's carry the story in our heart. Good night.
So we've come into the Civic Auditorium in Santa Cruz, California, with our very special elder, Nathan Phillips, who we all saw in a contentious moment with some Trump-supporting youth. The Make America Great Again hat has become a symbol of divisiveness, a symbol that represents racism, or at least calls into question what we think and what we're willing to tolerate in our society. And we also saw mainstream media spin the story in various ways, and we wanted to come out here and begin the process of truth-telling and setting the record straight. You know, we urge everybody to watch the entire videos, and we feel that you can see Nathan did his best to diffuse a potentially volatile situation, and we were just very thankful and honored to be received by the city of Santa Cruz tonight.
I noticed in the video that you guys showed the Lakota block, the MAGA spin cycle. I just wanted to ask the similarities between those things.
Yes. Well, at Standing Rock, you know, this is since the democratization of social media, you know, we're able to tell our own stories. So at Standing Rock in the beginning, we were winning that battle for the narrative. You know, we are unarmed, we are peaceful, we are prayerful. But by the end of Standing Rock, when they actually violated our treaty rights and committed an act of aggression, international aggression and trespass, and laid the pipeline in our territory, the Sioux Nation territory, we were cast as the terrorists. We were labeled as indigenous jihadists. So now what we've seen after the first media cycle, now a spin machine has gone into full effect to cast Nathan Phillips as the instigator and the Covington kids as victims. And Nathan Phillips is in a position where he's already forgiven the Covington kids. We're waiting for them to take responsibility for their actions, but they seem to be just digging in their heels. And in our country, before we can have a conciliation, peace with justice, we first need a truth-telling. So that's the message that we carry and what we're trying to promote, and we hope that we can all come to an understanding in our country at this time about not the kids so much, because the kids, they're kids, and they deserve forgiveness, and they're worthy of redemption, but the environment, the culture of racism that is represented by it's a founding value of our country, and we just haven't been truthful about it. And we think, you know, people now are we're in a time where we're willing to be truthful about it. That's the only way true healing can happen, but we see it happening.
An inciting incident like this, obviously a lot of attention. What key issues do you guys have the opportunity to talk about?
Well, we were in D.C. for the Indigenous Peoples March. So first there is an epidemic of murdered and missing Indigenous women. There's also the thrust of Indigenous nations to re-spiritualize and re-civilize people's worldviews in this planet. We feel that people have gone way astray, and we don't have the imagination or the mythology to appreciate the sacred anymore. We have been all subjected to the same forces of colonization and separation that has allowed us to behave like viruses, and we feel there is room for healing and redemption as a human species in a movement represented by things like the Green New Deal. where we can bring back a regenerative economic system that allows us to give to our children a healthy ecosystem, and that our political, legal, and economic environments will begin to reflect a more evolved understanding of those concepts.
Shifting gears back to tonight, I think being able to have this experience, what it was like to moderate this, and to sort of have this community.
I love coming to Santa Cruz. You know, every city has its own struggles, but we've always received love and appreciation from the city of Santa Cruz. I call this the woke coast, and whether we recognize it or not, this is one of the places that has to function as a real shining city on the hill. We have to set the tone for this country because the world is looking to us to provide guidance and leadership. Even though we may be challenged right now, we have to come together on local levels so we can have a global impact. It's just an honor to be here with Nathan Phillips, his daughter, and another one of our elders, Raymond Kingfisher, to see the amount of the numbers that turned out, the Ohlone elders. I mean, it's just, I think it represents our potential as a nation based on truth, peace, and justice. It's the only way that we get there. And what we see here tonight is people that are willing to engage those sometimes harsh truths to reach a better place, though.
All of us are immigrants coming to this land, to your land, to those of us who want to, after the citizenship in the 18th, to engage or somehow be able to share what are things that, people can do that help you and
We would suggest that folks who want to help, want to become engaged, go to lakotalaw.org to connect with us online. We've always got some either frontline activism or advocacy and awareness campaign going on. We have offices here in Santa Cruz as well as on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota near the Black Hills. We are also connected to, we're a subsidiary of the Romero Institute, a faith-based, interfaith-based institute which seeks to, again, re-spiritualize people's worldviews. We feel there's a lot of work to do, there's a lot of potential there, but that spiritual liberation we feel can and should be informing our politics and so forth. So please connect with us at Lakota Law to find out more about Nathan Phillips as well. We're trying to help him manage all of that interfacing that is now going on. Nathan is not the kind of guy who would run for public office, for instance, so he's truly an organic and authentic leader who just answered his heart's calling to place himself between what he saw as a potentially dangerous situation, a racially charged situation between black Israelites and Trump-supporting kids who were acting like a frenzied little mob. Unfortunately, nothing bad happened. Nathan he was able to join us here. He's in good spirits, but we love the West Coast. We've got a lot of respect out here, and a lot of our supporters come right from Santa Cruz to the Salinas Valley and north of here to the Bay Area. We love the area, and we're glad to be part of the community.
This crowd is so wonderful. I just really blessed. This is my first time coming out since January 18th, last month there, and I was encouraged last minute to be here. For a few days, Mr. Iron Eyes was asking me, hey, you should come out here with the Memorial Institute and the city of Santa Cruz. I'd like to see you come out. But it's like I was saying about January 18th, I'm just a big chicken guy. And so I was really afraid to be here, honestly. But I am so glad I came here. This is such
Everyone,
such
we'd like just about 10 more minutes. We're going to be cleared out.
good
So just
experience
let
for
me
me
know.
to feel some love and some understanding of what's at stake here. So many people here came to the Civic Center here in Santa Cruz and shared their time and energy with me. And I'm so grateful that they would do that. The time of their day. Come back to it. Thank you again for your work. Enjoy the beach and stuff. It's still winter, and even though it's nice and everything, it's still kind of chilly.
It is.
So it's truly a blessing.
What, I noticed that people kind of.
They were just, shaking my hand and saying thank you to me. I guess for my stand. The awareness that we do have better tomorrow. That's what I feel that the folks that were here tonight came up and said things to me is that we're not helpless, we're not lost. We still have that ability to find our way. And if I was one of those signs, this is the way to go. And I think we're doing a good thing there. Not that I'm there it is, yeah, over here. I always said all my life, nobody's simple person. I'm really overwhelmed. And I really appreciate that it's not me personally that stand with Nathan, but stand with what's right, what's justice, stand with America, because that's where I'm standing. Some people, oh, go stand with me, go be standing with America. That's where I'm standing. I do believe in this country. I absolutely believe they have a chance. If we're willing to make this step. Sometimes it means giving. Sometimes it does mean getting over things, But who has to get over what? People can't get over hatred. Once we can come to that belief that what this America's about, freedom, equality, justice, we live that. Tell our children, pick up the trash. That's what we got. Pick up the trash. So that we can replace it. Might sound cliche, it's what it is now. If we don't stop the destruction industry, we don't start are the attitudes that we have facing our children tomorrow. It's not like the second generation, we're talking about 10 years, 11 years, 12 years. We don't change that right now.
Me as well.
We got this, so I guess that's what it is. Just make a call. Here we are. Possible I could be around another 10 years and see what it is. And I really hope that, God willing, I'm around in 10 years that we have changed. We have but I don't know what those answers are. Probably a youth that's going to have that answer. That's why I pray for the youth that day. I don't know if I feel like I'm just rambling.
It's okay. It's okay. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing with us. I really enjoyed it. I got to go here for my job, but it was nice.
4 minutes, we gotta clear out.
Have a good rest of your evening. Thank you for coming to Santa Cruz.
Thank you, Santa Cruz.